Hello. So it's Wednesday night. Wednesdays are huge for me. I work and then I go to my night classes. So when I get home, I want to make something really simple and easy and pretty quick, but tasty, max taste. So this is basically cacio e pepe is a cheese pepper pasta dish. So I'm going to show you how to do that tonight. So these are the ingredients that you need. Super simple. This is really it. So you've got olive oil, pecorino. If you don't have that, you can use Parmesan. There's black pepper. I use garlic. It's not classic, but I love garlic, so why not? Butter. I've only got the spreadable one in the fridge. That's what I'm going to use. Tonight I'm making it with Risoni pasta, which is really fun to eat. It's really good for kids as well. So if you have kids, this is a great one. Just a bit of salt for the water. So I've got some water here that I'm going to put on the boil, salted water for the pasta. While that's heating up, I'm going to start my sauce. I've already sliced up some garlic cloves and put olive oil there in a cold pan, and I'll heat that gently. What I might start doing with my videos is I'll put a shopping list at the bottom of in the comments bit so you can see the things that I put in, and then I'll let you know things that you can take out. I'll do it in a little section under there. So if you don't have those ingredients, it doesn't really matter. Maybe with some suggestions as well of other things you could put in if that might work well with the dish. So the water's come to a boil now, and I've got the garlic just slowly starting to sizzle in the oil as it's warming up. So at this point you want to add in your pasta. Make sure it's salted water. You can just use plain table salt, that's fine. My nonna's trick with like rice, for instance, was to put like a handful per person plus a little bit, and that's normally a good portion. I've only got one hand, so I'm just going to shake some in. Let's just go with that. Maybe a bit more because we like to eat a lot. When you first put your pasta in the water and all the granules are still pretty, they're just starting to soak up the water and the starches are coming out. So for that first little bit, you just want to keep giving it a stir for the first minute or so, just so that they don't all stick together, especially with like spaghetti. It's really important. Otherwise you'll just get clumpy bits of pasta and that's the worst. The garlic's starting to kind of sizzle a little. Once it starts getting a bit of colour, then we're going to add our butter in. So I've probably got about this much butter. This is for two of us. But this sauce will go a long way because it's quite strong in flavour, and oil goes a long way. So you don't need too much. So the garlic got to a nice colour. So I've added the knob of butter in. Just slowly let them kind of make friends in the pan. You don't want it on too high a heat, probably a medium heat, just to keep the heat through it, get the butter melting. Then we're going to add a heap of cracked black pepper in. I'm talking like shitloads. And maybe a little pinch of salt. In terms of salt, like I said with the pasta, table salt's fine because you're just flavouring the water. But when it comes to flavouring and seasoning your dish, all salts come with different kind of salty levels. So I'm just going to use this, which is the Murray River Malden pink salt, which has a bit more of a mild flavour, not so like full-on salty. So just keep that in mind when you're cooking. Start with a little bit. If the salt you have is super salty, just stop adding it. If it's one of these ones and you need more, go for it. But the flavour just is much better. Don't forget that your pasta's here. It's kind of a bit of a two-pan thing happening at the moment. You just want to give it a taste. Make sure it's al dente, which is to the tooth. So just a little bit of a bite to it. Yeah, and that's ready. So I'm going to take that off the heat. You always want to get ready and have your colander or your strainer. I'm just using one of these because I don't have much pasta here. I like to leave, don't shake out all the water, just leave a little bit in the pan at the bottom because the pasta will keep soaking it up, and it makes it, if the sauce is a bit too thick, it'll thin it out a little bit for you. You can keep the water on the side and ladle it in as you want, but I know that's kind of enough. If you're not quite ready to put your sauce into the pasta yet, it's always a good idea just to put a little sprinkle of olive oil in there and mix it around, just so that all the starches don't stick together and you get, again, clumpy pasta. So just mix it in, then you can leave it there just off the heat for a second. And as you can see here, the butter and the oil and garlic have come together. So now I'm going to add the cracked black pepper. Don't have it on too high a heat. You don't want all the milk solids to split in the butter. You still want it to be a nice emulsified sauce. cracked black pepper here. The pepe means pepper in Italian, so that's what this dish is all about. Lots of cracked black pepper. If you're serving this dish for kids and it's too spicy, you can just do a little bit or leave it out. I'm going to put a little whack of salt in. Not too much because I'll add it to the pasta, which already has a bit of a salty flavour. Traditionally with cacio e pepe, they'll grate the pecorino cheese into the butter and oil kind of mix right now. But I'm just going to do it later because I like to break the rules. All right, so I'm just going to pour the mix in now into the pasta. Just get all the little bits because on the bottom you've got maybe some of the garlic and lots of the pepper that's kind of gone to the bottom there. It's important to mix them all in the pan first just to get the flavours all going together. Stir it up. If you need to put on the heat to keep it a little warm, you can do that, but just keep in mind not too hot, otherwise all the water will cook out and the pasta will start to dry a little. And now I'm going to add the cheese. This is called a microplane. It's an awesome kitchen tool. You can get them in all different shapes from heaps of different stores. Microplane is the brand. They have some wider square shaped ones. I like this one. It's pretty generic. You can get it from heaps of homeware stores now. It's really everywhere. Chef's Hat is a good one if you're in Melbourne. Just watch your fingers, especially because I've got a small lump of cheese here. This is Pecorino, which is the classic cheese to use with this dish. You want a lot of cheese, guys. Like, if you're a vegan, sorry, this one might not be for you. But you could do a version of this dish just with oil, garlic, and pepper. No cheese, no butter, and it would still be just as good. I'll just put a bit in to start, mix it through. Just so it spreads right through the pasta. All right, so it's just time to serve. I put a little bit more pecorino in the mix before serving it. I'll just do that for now. After that, more pecorino on top, because why not? Cheese is life. And it looks really good to present. More cracked black pepper to serve. And that's it. Last thing with these rinds that you have for pecorino or like Parmesan cheese, never throw them out. People just throw them thinking that there's nothing else you can do with it. Once you've grated all the cheese off, you can keep it in the fridge for a couple of months or even just throw them in the freezer in a bag. The next time you make a soup or if you're gonna make a broth, you can just put them in there and it'll just flavor the broth and give it that extra kind of umami taste and just fish it out at the end.